Hello and welcome back to the Mirage Zero to Hero series. In this episode, we're going to go over the radar. This episode's a little bit long, so I'll include timestamps at the bottom. Alright, enjoy guys. 1. This portion of the video is going to go over the PCR, which is your radar control panel. So let's get into it. This is located next to your throttle, this panel right here. Alright, so these, the radar channel A and channel B dials, in the manual say it's not functional, but you can change it up here. So let's go next channel. So 77 is selected. We have 6.6 being requested, and now we're on channel 6.6. Again, it says it's not functional in the manual. I don't know if it is. I don't really mess with this. We have our reset button right here. Now functional as well. And we have our Doppler filter, so let's go over that. Let's go width mode. Pause track IR. Okay, so width mode is main radar lobe is always active. It will reduce the spurious contact quantities and reduce the probability of the radar tracking chaff, but it does increase the chances of you losing the target from a notch. Now let's go over auto. Alright, so we got auto, which is activated when the main lobe ground return is high. It does improve the improves the resistance from notching, but does increase the chances of spurious contacts and of tracking chaff. Now let's go without. Alright, so without, radar filter is never activated, loss of spurious contacts. So as you see, we're picking up a lot of clutter from the Doppler. Obviously, there's not a bunch of planes out here, it's just Doppler picking up all this clutter feedback. That's why I have filters. We got our radar gain dial. Get this up a little bit. Alright, right here's our power knob. So off obviously means it's off. Warm up means the radar's preheating. Standby means the radar's on, but it's just not emitting. Emit means the radar's on and emitting. Alright, we got our test button. We have our deck, which is our train avoidance, which is right here. We'll go over this later on in the video. We have our VISU mode, which is our ground mapping. Again, we'll go over this later on in the video. Let's see if I can get it. Yeah, whatever. We'll go over it later on, like I said. To altitude at. Push that out. Okay, now we can go back to the video. Alright, so right here is our radar display. By default, it's on PPI, which is right here. If you want to go to B-scope mode, it stretches it out. It makes it look like a NATO display, so like an F-16 and F-18. Your preference. This is for air-to-air combat. This is your TDC altitude. By default, it's on ANG mode. Let's go over this. So right now, our plane is scanning negative 1,000 feet, 27,000 feet up. Switch it over to alt mode. Now, your TDC is always scanning at 13,000 feet, no matter where you scan. Pretty ineffective. So let's go stick with the effective one. Here's your target memory. So N means it's off. R means that if there's a target, so these for example, they'll be displayed for 2 sweeps. Now they're gone. So if it was a false contact like this guy, it'll be gone in the next sweep. And it's gone. Alright, so here's your radar frequency. So by default it's on HFR, which is high. And you got your intermediate. So it picks up a little bit of ground clutter. Then you got your low frequency. Picks up even more ground clutter. They say you can actually use this to pick up like slow targets, like a helicopter for example. Alright, then you get your bars. So you got 4, 2, and 1. I say between 4 and 2. All this is how fast your radar sweeps and the effectiveness of it. Okay, your range. So right now we're at 40. 60, or sorry, 80. Oh yeah, that's how you increase and decrease range. SCT or PSEC, this is for air-to-air combat. Your azimuth scan. So right now we're in a 60-degree scan. Go to 30. Now we're in a 30-degree scan, wherever the TC is pointing towards. Then we go to 15. I just leave mine at 60. Then let's go over the VTB controls real quick. I don't know why the radar's doing that. It's getting weird. Okay. So power on to this display, power off. These are brightness settings for different cell phone. Bingo. Very inconvenient. Alright, and then right here, think of this as radar display forward. Behind you, again, pilots really don't use this, it's just a function to have. So like say you got a target locked up and you have this in memory, and say the memory predicts you'll be somewhere back behind you. Again, no one really uses it. And declutter. Alright, that covers this portion. See you on the next one. This portion of the video, we're going to go over basic VTB/radar symbology. Alright, so up top we have our radar scan cone. That little black tick going back and forth is indicating the current radar sweep. Right here, HFR, this is your radar frequency, so we're operating a high frequency right now. 6 and 7, this is a radar channel. We're not going to talk about it, it's not functional apparently in the manual, according to the manual. 40, this is the range we're scanning at, so now we'll be scanning at 80. These dashed lines right here are azimuth markers, so right now we're at 60 degrees, so this will be 30 degrees, which is indicator right there. Alright, right here, this is our aircraft. If you remember the takeoff video, I like to think of this as a rear view of our plane. So here's your wings, and here's your rudder. This is your horizon. So right now we're heads down, so we can't really see what's in front of us. So we're in a right bank, and we're a little bit above the horizon. Now we can actually visual see it, so we're at a right bank, and we're a little bit above the horizon line. Down below is our heading scale. This triangle right here is our bearing. This arrow right here is our aircraft vector to ground speed. So right now we're going decently quick. If we were going slow, it would be down here more. To the left is our elevation scale. This is displayed by increments of 10 degrees. So we got 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30, and so on. Negative 10, negative 20, negative 30, and so on. Right here is our bars. So we're scanning in 4 bars, as you can see with this bar right here. So 1 bar, 2 bar, 3, and 4. This is also indicating where our radar is pitched at right now. So if we want to raise our radar up to say 20 degrees, this is how you will do it. Say now we want to go negative 10 degrees. As you see, is actually adjusting the altitude that we're scanning at as well, which is actually going to go into our next part, which is the TDC. So this crosshair right here is the actual TDC. To the right is our TDC altitude that we're scanning at. So right now we're scanning at 20,000 feet to negative 3,000 feet. Let's say there's a situation where we have to scan for a target at 28,000 feet. Let's move the radar up a little bit. Right now we're at 8,000 feet to 32,000 feet, so we'll be able to find the radar contact. Right here, this is a TDC range, so from the plane we're 26 nautical miles out. Down here is our TDC bearing as well, so 26 nautical miles out at an azimuth, a bearing of 262 degrees. So let's go to 270 for example. Now here's a bar indicating where the TDC is scanning as well. So 277. Alright, down here, this is our speed. So we're going 433 knots at 0.7 Mach. Right up here. We're roughly at 255. Right here. Our altitude is in hundreds down at the bottom, so it's 7.4, so 7,400 feet. We're at 7,350. It's rounding up to 7,400. Alright, I'm going to pause track IR. So right here is a radar contact. It's pointing down towards us, so the radar contact is coming towards us as well. If it was pointing the opposite way, that means it's going away from us. Let's go over IFF, which is how you identify if it's a friendly or foe. Alright, right here, the dashed line. This is interrogation, is requesting, or it's happening. It only lasts about half a second. It's going to go into a solid line. So now the solid line indicates that it's done. So, pause. Alright, so nothing came back, so these are just ground clutter. But if it was an aircraft and IFF, and nothing came back, it will be considered a hostile. If it had a diamond in it, which we'll see later on in the next portion of the video, it indicates it's a friendly. Alright, with that, this portion of the video is done. This was basic VTB radar symbology. See you on the next portion of the video. We're going to go over locking up targets using TWS and STT. Before we get started, let's go look at the controls we'll be using. Go to subcategory HOTAS. TDC depress, lock target. How are you going to lock your target? If you don't have a slew for your TDC, right here is what you need. Alright, so the next one is weapon system command depress. Is how you're going to unlock your target. Nodes with steering, IFF and tier gate. This is how you're going to identify who's friendly or foe. STT/TWS toggle. Toggles between both modes. If you do have a slew for your TDC, you're going to go access assign. Come down here. You got your vertical. Then you got your horizontal. Alright, before we go into locking up targets, our situation is we have two contacts moving towards us. We don't know who's who, so we're going to have to use our IFF to interrogate them. Alright, so you go to your IFF control panel, you go section right here, you go IFF with nozzle steering, you have a 20-degree arc right here. If you go, that's 20-degree arc off your TDC. If you go to continue, you're going to get your IFF across your whole azimuth right here. Alright, let's go into some IFF symbology. Oh, by the way, there's no difference, no gain or disadvantage between either or. So they both perform the same exact way. So it's personal preference, whatever you want to use. Alright, now let's go into IFF symbology. Alright, missed it. Alright, so the dashed line means that the IFF interrogation is going on right now. It only lasts half a second. Alright, the solid line means that IFF is done. Alright, so now let's go into this symbology right here. Alright, so the diamond indicates a friendly beacon or a friendly transmitter. So it's closest to this V right here, this radar contact, so this is going to be identifying that he's friendly. This one does not have it, so he's a hostile. So let's lock him up to find out his information. Pause. So right now we're in TWS mode. So TWS mode, I like to think as like a soft lock. Let me pause, check IR. So I like to think of it as a soft lock. So right now he has no clue that we're locking him up. The radar will display his additional information, which is up top right here, relative to the target contact, which is the one which is locked up. The radar will set itself to 1 bar automatically on search and on the locked target. So let's get the information off of him. So right now what we have on our radar symbology, so this is us. He's a little bit to our left. His Mach is in 0.5. His bearing towards us is 0.84. The closure speed between him and me is 784 knots. His altitude, this is in hundreds of feet, is 10,000 feet. Alright, so now we know that information about him. Let's find out what he is. So from there, we're going to go to STT. If you don't have a keybind for it, you do it right here as well. So let's do that. Let's pause and pause track IR. Alright, so STT I like to think is a hard lock. So now he knows we're actually locking him. So his RWR is going crazy saying that we are locking him up. Alright, so hard lock, so STT. Radar will display the same information as TWS mode, so right up here. But now we got additional information knowing what he is. So he's a MiG-29. Alright, so now let's unlock, or let's go back to TWS mode. So now he knows that we locked him, but now he's not getting the RWR warning that we locked him. So now let's unlock him. Let's go to our friendly and find out what he is. Let's lock him up. So now we got his information up top as well. So he's going a little bit faster. He's at 0.8 Mach. His bearing is at 0.96, so he's still coming towards us. Our closure rate between each other, since he's faster, is 983 knots. His altitude is at 5,000 feet. Let's find out what he is. Alright, so we have a friendly of 16. Let's pause track IR. I forgot to show you what the symbology looks like. Alright, so IFF symbology. On HUD, if it has an A and a line below the target box, that means he's a friendly. So if we unlock him, Alright, so now, since we had him hard locked, we have additional information. So this is going to be displayed the whole time until you clear it, which is this button right here. Alright, now let's go over to this guy right here. IFFing. There's no symbology in his target box, so that means he's hostile. Alright, so that covers TWS and STT. See you on the next portion. This portion of the video, we're going to go over radar jamming symbology. This is us being jammed from another plane. Before we get started, for some reason I can't replicate in Mission Editor what you'll see on the VTB, so I'm going to attach a picture of it when we get there that I have from a screen from a multiplayer match. Alright, so let's talk about what jamming is. So while in search, you can encounter jammers that will try to confuse a radar with false contacts. While in the Mirage, we can detect the direction and strength of the jammer. We could also start burning through around 20 to 25 nautical miles. If you don't know what burn through is, so 20 to 25 nautical miles and under, their radar is useless against, or their jammer is useless against us. Alright, so since that's out of the way, let's talk about HUD symbology. Alright, so up top, the target box has these lines in each corner. That's indicating that he's jamming us. Now right here, this word bro, we'll call it bro, is also indicating that he's jamming us. Let's go over to the VTB. Alright, attaching the picture right now. Alright, the top left corner, you're going to have a yellow B. This is indicating that there's a jammer detected. They're going to have these these asterisks along the azimuth line. It's also going to be indicating the direction of the jammer. They can stack up to 3 asterisks tall. So if it's 3 asterisks tall, that means the jammer strength is really strong. If it's 2, it means it's intermediate, and if it's 1, the jammer strength is pretty weak. Alright, that covers this portion. Told you it was pretty quick. Just wanted you guys to know what it looks like when you get jammed from another plane. See you on the next one. This portion of the video, we're going to set up an intercept using the VTB commands. A lot of people in DCS probably don't know how to do this that fly the Mirage, so that's why we're going to do this portion. Also, to note, a lot of Mirage pilots don't really use this. So why would you use it? To do long-range interceptions of 150 nautical miles or more. For example, intercepting supersonic bombers, i.e. Tu-160s, MiG-25s, MiG-31s. So how you would do it, you'll get information from the GCI. Well, say your server or mission editor doesn't have GCI, so how are you going to do it? Let's get information from F10. Alright, so we have his altitude at 29,000 feet. His speed is definitely Mach. His heading to us is 91. Our heading to him is 271. The distance between us is 157, so I'm going to enter like 145 by the time we enter it. Alright, so yeah, that's how you're going to get some of this information. Again, if I need it, I'll go back and do F10. So let's pause track IR, unpause the game. Alright, so let's set this up. You're going to go up on this, you're going to get the yellow lettering, now you're going to enter information. So waypoint, say waypoint 1. Target from bullseye, so his distance was we're going to enter 145 by the time we're done with this. Alright, target bearing, that's our bearing to him, which was 271. Again, we can confirm real fast. 271. Alright, his bearing, he was going 091. His altitude, he's dropping altitude, so let's say 25,000. His Mach is definitely above Mach. Target age, I don't know how to do that, so I'm just going to say 1. And let's enter it by going down. There we go. Now the radar's telling us where he's at. Push it out. And there he is flying towards us, and we'll just intercept him. Alright, so that's how you set up a setup intercept for the VTB. See you on the next one. This portion of the video is going to be covering deck, which is our train avoidance radar. So let's turn it on. Go to your radar control panel, right here. push that. Now we have different symbology on our radar display. As you see in front of us, we have mountainous terrain. So let's look at the radar display. Alright, so what you have up here, you have deck selected on your top right corner. Our radar is pushed out to 10 nautical miles. We cannot push it out more, so it's locked at 10 nautical miles. H is our aircraft's radar altimeter, so right now we're at 3,070 feet. HD is the clearance below the aircraft. This could be anywhere from 0 feet to 5,000 feet. The way you adjust it is by going to radar up and down. So if you remember how to, or the controls to pitch your radar up and down, that's how you adjust it. Alright, so right now we have a 500-foot buffer below us. The colors, so green is indicating that it's below our clearance height, so it's below our altitude with 500 feet, so we can fly over it without any issues. Red is at or above clearance height, so now we will most likely hit if we fly into the red, so you're going to avoid it. That's the whole point of this system. So if you're flying through really poor conditions, this is something you wouldn't want to use. I actually do use it a lot, it's pretty useful. Alright, see on the next portion, we'll go over SHB. See you there. This portion of the video is going to go over SHB. What SHB is pretty much deck, but now you actually track a target. So how we're going to do it, we're going to lock the target up. He's locked up. And we're going to select deck mode. Let's change our radar altimeter a little bit. Alright. So, same thing as deck, but now we actually have a target locked up. This could be set up to 10 or 20 nautical miles. But deck, as before, we could scan out to 10 nautical miles. So, pretty much if you're in like bad weather conditions and you have a contact locked up and you say you can't see the ground avoidant or ground terrain, this is what this will be used for. Alright guys, hope that was useful. See you on the next one. This portion of the video is going to go over VISU mode, which is pretty much this ground mapping. So how to turn it on is right here next to deck. Alright, now it's on. So, pause, check IR here. Alright, so what this is, so range can be set between 10 to 40 nautical miles. Why would you use it? To find certain terrain features that are in bad weather conditions. So let's look up ahead of what we have. So we have a carrier right up here, we have a coast, and there's an airfield right here. Alright, so we got the coast right here. We're definitely getting some kind of signature back. So let's bring the radar back, let's say 20 nautical miles. Or right here as well, you get, this is your radar antenna elevation, so you could depress it just a little bit more. So let's go down a little bit more. Alright, so there's the boat. There's the coast and airfield. Let's adjust the gain as well. The gain is right here. That's too bright. Alright, about right there is what I like. That's a little too dark. Alright, so we can make it out a little bit more. Let's bring it back 10 nautical miles. Let's raise up the antenna just a little bit. Alright, yep, so there's the boat right there. Right here, you can make out is the airfield. Alright, so that's VISU mode, which is ground mapping. See you on the next one. This portion we're going to go over the VFR. So this is not an air-to-ground radar, it's just a radar image that's displaying all the ground clutter. So this radar image could be displayed up to 40 nautical miles. It's used to find contacts in the clutter, so like helicopters for example. So let's turn it on. You go to your radar frequencies, BFR. Alright, same scenario, we have the carrier, we have the airfield, and there's a Chinook somewhere around here. We'll see if we can find them. Alright, so obviously we have the ground clutter. Let's bring it down to 20. Okay, so there's a carrier right there. Let's drop the radar a little bit. There we go. See if we can find like a moving Chinook or something. There's 10. Let's go 1 bar. R. Is that really him? No way. Hold on. CH-47. Right there. Numpad. unlock him. Alright, let's go, yep. So you guys can see exactly where he might be at. Alright, yeah, so yeah, that's BFR. Really not much to talk about. It's just, yeah, become ground clutter. Later, guys.